interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you the latest episode of Across the Board. Effects of listening to this podcast may include being educated on a random topic, shock, hysterical laughter, and an overwhelming feeling of wanting to subscribe to future episodes. This episode will start momentarily.
All right, so this is 2 weeks in the making, this episode.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, you had a little bit of a gnarly cold.
I did.
So
it was awful, and I'm
that's-
still a little bit congested, but
It happens.
we pushed through.
It's been going around.
Yeah.
People at work got sick like 3 times in 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely been going around.
Same thing with the folks in our office too. A lot of people getting sick, and it's not even like the full flu. It's like just a cold, but
Just
it's like
bad cold.
it's a bad cold.
Yeah.
It's been over a week. Like
Yeah.
colds usually last 4 or 5 days.
It depends.
I mean,
Everybody's different too.
yeah, but
I
I guess the flu shot doesn't work against the cold.
No, because it's the flu.
Don't they have cold shots? They should have
No.
cold shots.
They're
Cold vaccine.
I don't know how true this is, but I've heard that the flu shot is only for like particular strains of the flu. Like
I have a question.
okay.
What's the difference between cold and a flu? Does a flu, you have a fever as well? Is that what it is? Do you know?
Typically, they're just different viruses, but yeah, typically
Okay.
the flu you typically have a fever with, and it's a lot more serious. Like people die from the flu all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how true this is, and I'm sure somebody will tell me that I'm wrong, and that I'm a vaccine denier. But apparently, like the flu vaccine, and again, this is just what I've heard. So apparently, if you what they do is they basically vaccinate people for what strain of the flu they expect to be the most prevalent for that year.
But how do they know?
But they don't. It's just an educated guess. And so,
Okay.
a bunch of people get that vaccine, and then it could just be another strain altogether, and that's why it's not effective. Mm-hmm. That's just what I've heard. Again, I don't really like research this stuff.
Yeah.
So in other news, apparently the song that we were using for our intro/outro was some no-name artist decided that they didn't like that, and so we can't use that anymore.
Yeah.
So now we're using some bullshit song from the YouTube library. I mean, it's not a bullshit song. It's just I just say it that way because it's like we just pick something at random.
Yeah. It's fine. It is what it is.
I don't think most people stay for the outro anyway.
No, I don't think
They
so.
probably stop listening after 4 minutes.
I don't think that either. Okay. But I'm sure, once the music comes on, you're kind of like, okay, this is done. Like, I'm just going to move on.
Well, and you can kind of tell, like, we're not good at talking right up to the end. Like, you could feel it winding down.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Yeah.
But the good news, we had a short video clip go super viral.
Yep.
Well, super viral for us
Yeah.
because nobody really watches videos that we post. But 1.5-ish million views on Instagram.
Yeah. Which is exciting. What was that?
I don't know. Maybe like a fruit fly or
Oh.
something. Okay. Anyway, yeah, that's random. The perks of recording in your living room. So yeah, that was kind of exciting. I don't know why, and it's funny to me because I feel like social media. Well, this is just how I see it. Is I feel like social media is very like short clips. Like people don't want to stay for a long video clip,
Yep.
but that clip in particular was like 2.5 minutes long. And I'm very surprised
because we were talking about something that catches people's attention, like right away.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe it's just the way that it all came together. I don't know. Or maybe the algorithm just decided this one.
Maybe. I just think, again, catching attention is the important part
Yeah, I don't know.
of any podcast, but that's what we're working towards. So yeah.
So there's that. And then the other thing I was going to talk about was, well, I mean, this is kind of really the topic of what I wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
You know how like things just get to you sometimes?
Right.
And you
Sometimes
just-
or
it's
all the
like-
time.
Well, no, but I mean, you know how like sometimes it's just things just feel like nothing's going right kind of thing?
Yeah.
I'm a true believer that things are always going to go wrong as long as that person thinks that things are going wrong.
Okay.
So I think that things are what you make of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if, so you could be on your way to work, get a flat tire, and then you show up late, and you get a whole bunch of work thrown on your desk, and blah, 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 blah. It's a shitty day. You step in a puddle, you spill your coffee, whatever. And obviously by then you're just like, what else can go wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But I also feel like if you don't get to that point, if you don't let that negativity overwhelm you, I genuinely feel like things start looking up. I feel like there's the big factor of how things go just in daily life and just life in general is your outlook on it.
I agree to a certain extent.
Okay.
But then you have to have a lot of discipline to not let things like that, I think, get to you.
I don't even know if it's discipline. I think it's just a mindset. I think it's
Yeah, or mindset, whatever it is. But you can't just be like, okay, I just went through, I don't know, for example, someone loses their job, or like you said, someone steps in a puddle, gets a flat tire, and they're already late for work, whatever it is. You can't just expect someone to be like, well, cool.
well,
I'll just deal with this. Yeah, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get freaking angry. And I think especially nowadays, I think it likes you.
Stupid fly.
I think especially nowadays, I feel like people don't have any more patience. People don't have that same calmness to them.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of things just get to people. And, I've always been envious of the people that are just like, whatever, things happen. I've gotten better at that, but I wish I was more like that, to just like not care about everything.
But you do realize that it's a choice.
Of course it's a choice.
It's a choice. Like if I choose to have a good day and I actively say, no, you know what? I don't care if it's 107 degrees outside and I'm miserable and sweaty and whatever. I'm going to choose to ignore all this, and I'm going to continue to walk around to this theme park with 100,000 other people. I can choose to have a good time.
So is that what you're telling me that we're doing in the summer? Are you prepping for that? Is that what's going on here?
But my point is like, so the reason I bring this up is because you love Disneyland.
Yeah.
You could be at Disneyland when it's 105 degrees outside and there's tons of people everywhere and you're sweaty, but you could still be having a good time because you've chosen to have a good time. That's a good example of what I'm saying.
But do you think it's because of where you are?
It's because
if you're on your way to work and you need to stop somewhere, or something happens to your car and it's 105 degrees outside, it's hot and it's humid.
If you're choosing to if you're choosing to be positive about it, yeah.
But do you think your environment has anything to do with that? Because like Disneyland is typically a happy place. So typically, if it's 105 degrees outside, you kind of like, you know what? Okay, I'm at Disneyland. Like, it is what it is. Like, I'm still gonna have a great day. But if you're in a friggin' gas station in the valley midsummer and it smells like smog, I don't know if you're gonna be that happy about it.
Well, it's not about being happy about it. It's the
or like
way
making the best of it.
It's the way you choose to look at things. So I can sit there and I can get a flat tire and call a tow truck that's, an hour and a half away and blah, blah, blah and whatever. And I'm stuck in the middle of the desert, and I can see it as, you know what? This is an adventure. This is going to be a story to tell. And I can enjoy my time, and I could sit there and I could laugh and joke, and it's not miserable. Or I can sit
by
there
yourself.
Well, I'm saying, like, if for example, I'm on a road trip somewhere and it's, the two of us, or if it's us and some friends and whatever, and all this shit goes wrong and we're like, fuck, we're not going to get to where we were supposed to be getting until night or tomorrow or whatever the case is. I could sit there and be like, you know what? It's an adventure. It's a story. This is something we're going to look back at and laugh
That is true.
about.
We've been through a situation like that 2 years ago.
Which
Remember
one in particular?
In Girona, in Spain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, where it started pouring out of nowhere.
We were pretty pretty like not miserable in a sense where we were like bitter, but
but
like miserable in a sense where like, oh my God, I can't believe this is actually happening to us like right now. You know, like this would happen to us, but I can't believe it's actually happening to us. You know,
but you see what I'm saying? It's a story. It's a memory, and we chose not to be all bitter and pouty about it.
I know, but like thinking back on it now, it was like really hilarious. It was so funny.
And that was a perfect example of that. We're walking, we get to the furthest end of town.
Mm-hmm.
We sit down for a bite, and what happens is a fucking whole monsoon, like this torrential downfall of rain that lasted for a good hour.
Yeah.
We were
also sitting outside. So
and even though we were under umbrellas, we were still getting wet because the rain was sideways.
So imagine this train station. You get to Girona, which is a very old city in Spain, and it's about was a mile and a half to where we sat to eat.
It was probably 2 miles.
Yeah,
something like that.
We walk there. Mind you, we're in summer clothes. I'm wearing sandals, t-shirt, pants, and you're wearing jeans and a t-shirt, right? Like summer clothes. Get to where we're going. We finally sit down to eat. We're out. It's an outdoor restaurant, and literally not 15 minutes into it, just pouring rain, pouring. There's like little rivers underneath our feet because it was like that much water. Yeah. So we were just trying to put our feet up on the, on the stools or whatever it was. And there was like a bunch of people around. No one could go anywhere. Yeah, we were just waiting for the rain to stop. And there are no Ubers or taxis that go through that area because it's such an old city, you know. So we just had to wait it out. And walking back.
Well, so remember walking back and the number of puddles we accidentally stepped into.
Yeah, and I had sandals on. Do you know how grossed out I was?
Well, but hold on. It gets worse. And then remember we were walking under the like train monorail thing, whatever, where it was just constantly dripping from up above onto our heads. And by the time we got back to the train station, we had missed the train going back to Barcelona by like 5 minutes.
Yep.
And so we had to wait another hour and a half for a train.
We had to wait at the station, damp.
Yeah.
For like an hour.
I think it was like an hour and a half, like hour 15 minutes or something like that.
And just like, we thank God there was like a little coffee place. We got some coffee. But that was nice.
But you see what I'm saying is it depends on how you look at it. Yeah. It's like, the getting back to the train station and having missed the last train by 5 minutes could have been somebody's 13th reason. And I'm not, my point is it depends on how you look at it. And if you look at it in such a negative light, you're like, holy fuck, what else can go wrong?
No, absolutely. I think that's very true. Now, obviously you get what you put out, right? I'm a firm believer 100%. In that. But sometimes you can't help it. Just being more realistic about things. You do get upset. You get frustrated at things. You can't always be positive.
I understand that, but I think that everybody, myself included, I think everybody should just make an active effort to maybe just try to be more positive and try not to get frustrated at especially things that are out of your control. Because I mean, it's one thing if it's something that you have control over that you can change and you're like, you know what, hey, I'm just going to go left instead of go right, and now my situation's better. But when it's something that you're in the middle of that you can't control when the next train is going to show up. Yeah. You can't control the weather, whatever it is. Just choose to be positive about it and choose to ignore whatever misery you assume, like, or you think that you're going through. Right. Because at the end of the day, that's the other thing is like, it's no matter how shitty we think we are or how shitty we think our situation is. And I'm not talking about us specifically. I'm just talking about in general. There's almost always somebody that's worse off. I think. And especially when for people like, here in the United States where it's like we throw away food because there's such an abundance of food and clean water is, and again, not everywhere. There's some places that have been ignored by our government and for some reason still don't have clean water. But I think it's one of those things where, you look at it and you're like, oh, this is a shitty situation or whatever. But at the end of the day, there's always, and in the case of people in the U.S., there's millions of people, if not billions of people that are worse off than we are. Yeah. And I hate to sound cliche, but I spread positivity. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not that hard to just be positive and enjoy what you have. And be kind. And even when you disagree with people, it's like, there's no reason to get all nasty about it. It's like, people have differing opinions. And that's something the last 5 to 10 years. Yeah. that is something that has gotten completely out of control. It's like people, and especially when it comes down to like politics and stuff, people are just nasty to each other. And it's like, for what? It's like, yeah, we disagree on who you think is a better candidate for whatever office, but that doesn't mean that we have to be horrible people to each other and call each other names and, you know, demean each other for no reason. It's like, it's a differing opinion, and people are allowed to have that.
Yeah.
So, people just need to get over.
You know, there's a quote that I try to think about whenever I'm feeling a little down. It's something like, there are people out in the world who dream of the life that you live.
Yeah.
And I always try to think of that when I get frustrated about something, or if I wish I had something, or, you know, if I'm like envious of something or whatever it is, because, you know, we're just human.
Of course.
So I try to think of that, and I'm like, it makes me feel better, because I'm like, you know what? I'm fine. I'm blessed. I have what I need. And I'm happy. You know?
Well, and it's not just even having what we need. It's we have what, you know, like going back to your quote, we have what a lot of people want. Like we're living somebody's dream.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like there are people that just don't have the means, or you know, they grew up in the wrong place or whatever, and not any fault of their own. It's just, that's just what they were brought into. You know, they were born into that. They were born into whichever family they were born. I mean, similarly, like people that were born into fucking royalty, and it's like, you know, it's nothing that they did. It's just the luck of the draw. But regardless of whether you're born in the top 1% of the world or the bottom 1%, it's like you can always just enjoy what you have, because it's one life to live, you know. And no matter how shitty your situation is, I feel like you should always be able to say, hey, you know what? I can't change this right now. Right now I don't have the means to. Maybe someday I will. But right now, let me enjoy what I have. Let me enjoy my time with my friends, even if it's sitting in a backyard somewhere and just listening to bad music, like whatever it is.
I think that's also circumstantial.
I agree.
You know, there are people who unfortunately don't have, you know.
No, 100% agree with you. But at the same time, it's like I've also seen people that don't have a damn thing and still enjoying themselves, you know, with their friends, with their family, whatever, at a little backyard barbecue or whatever it is.
I'm not talking about people like that. I'm talking about other people who realistically don't have anything.
There are some.
You know,
there are some. Yeah. And that's why I'm saying I'm not saying this goes for everybody. I'm just saying that the majority of people in this world, no matter how bad they think they have it, the majority are still better off than others. Yeah. You know? Yeah. There are people that, you know, they are the bottom of the barrel. There's no fucking hope. Like, I get that. And my heart goes out to those people, because it's, what do you do at that point? You know, it's not, you can't just tell somebody like, well, yeah, go and move somewhere else and find a job and this and that, because it's just not practical. It's not, they're going to be the 1 in a million if they do make it out of whatever poverty they're living in. So I get that. It's
not even that, you know, people who, you know, unfortunately have certain types of sicknesses that they're not able to overcome. And then, you know, just what do you say in that regard? You know what I mean? Like, it's such a difficult thing to go through.
Of course.
But I get what you're saying. And just the general sense of things, we should always be just happy and appreciative of what we have. Right.
No, and here's what I'm saying. It's like, even when you talk about like sicknesses, it's like the perfect example of this are like these poor kids that have cancer that are still smiling and happy.
I know.
And it's like, you know, God dealt them the worst fucking hand possible, and they're still making the best out of it, because what else can you do? Yeah. Even for people that are dying of a shitty disease, there's absolutely, well, look, there is a reason to fucking feel shitty all the time, but there's absolutely no reason to let yourself not enjoy the last years of your life if you're dying from a shitty disease. Like, granted, you're not going to be able to keep a smile the whole time, and inside you're going to be literally like, just it's heart-wrenching, but those are the same kind of people that, for example, will try to enjoy their last few years of their lives and you know, spend it with family and laugh and make memories and whatever, because it's the alternative is just misery. What's the point? What's the point? What's the point of the last few years of somebody's life being in misery around, you know, it's miserable for them. It's miserable for their family. They don't get to enjoy what little time they have left. Like, it makes no sense.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of also where the whole thing about like live every day like it was your last comes from, is because typically when you know that your time is numbered, like your days are numbered, you're typically trying to enjoy them. And again, I feel like this is a conscious choice that somebody can make and say, you know what, I'm just going to take this and I'm going to make the best of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to make this a memory. I'm going to make this a story that we're going to laugh about in the future. You know, like you're saying, it's like you go through shitty situations, and while you're in it, you're like, this is such a shitty situation. But then every one of those situations you've looked back on, you're like, oh, fuck, that was kind of a funny story. Yeah. So it's like, why not just enjoy it in the moment and still have that funny story?
Yeah.
You know, it's, you can, I would say 98% of shitty situations that people have been in, they've survived.
And laughed about later on.
You know what I mean? So. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, if you're going to survive all of these shitty situations, why not just have fun with them and make them less shitty?
Yeah. I remember even sitting at that cafe when it was pouring. You literally look at me and you go, you know, we're going to laugh about this in a year from now, right? And
I probably did say that.
Yeah, you did. Okay. And I'm like, I think we will. Like,
yeah, no. But...
remember, we were so like annoyed. We just wanted to like rest and like hang out.
But it was just, it just sucked because we had kind of devoted that day to being out there. And within what, like an hour?
And there were, just to clarify, no rain in the forecast, by the way. Like
no rain in the forecast.
None.
It was a sunny day. And it waited, for whatever reason, it waited till we got to as far as we could possibly be from the train station to start pouring. But
what an experience.
But that's, you know, same thing when you get a flat tire on the road and you're like, whatever, fuck it. just move on. Yeah. I mean, look, I don't 100% believe in, you know, people talk about vibrations and frequencies and all this bullshit. I'm not the kind of person that says like, oh, if you listen to music of this frequency, it's going to bring you luck. Like, I don't think that. But I do think that you get what you put out. I do think that the universe is, let's not even say the universe. The space that we occupy as consciousness, put it that way. I think it's reactive to us. I know this gets into this whole kind of like, it's probably the premise of some, you know, religion or something. But
okay.
I think that our space is reactive to what we put out to it.
Yeah.
So I think people, for example, who are desperate will never get that break because of that desperation. Whereas somebody who...
But why?
Because I feel like it's not, you're not, you know, it goes back to that whole law of attraction thing. You're not putting out what would bring in that thing that you want.
Yeah, but that's messed up.
But okay, but here's the difference. Okay, so desperation and just wanting doesn't do shit. But determination and drive and trying and whatever, and envisioning and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this. That's what brings you success.
Yeah.
I want to do this or I have to do this versus I'm going to do this is a very big difference. And I do genuinely believe that their universe is reactive. It's the same reason that you see people who have money winning at casinos.
That's true.
Because they don't have that desperation of, oh, I need to win. No, it's because to them, they're just having fun and they're like, I'm going to win. And even if I don't care because it's not a big deal.
But do you think on the opposite side of that is they're winning because they're playing bigger bets and it's more of...
No.
They have a higher chance of winning because they're playing higher bets?
I don't think that makes a difference.
Maybe.
I think that your odds of winning something, like, so, okay, specifically in a casino, I think that your odds of winning are the same regardless of your bet size. And I would venture to say that if you're playing bigger bets, you're probably not as likely to win as often or as much. So in the perfect example of this is like slot machines. Typically, let's say you get free spins or whatever bonus you get in a slot machine, slot game. You're typically not going to see the crazy multiples of your wager size that you are on smaller bets. You might play a $5 bet and win a $3,000 jackpot. So that's, I mean, fucking, I can't even do math right now. was that like 800 times or something? Close to 800 times
I don't know.
of your bed size. 750, I guess. No, 700.
I lost you there. I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway,
honestly.
let's assume you Let's assume you play a $5 wager on a slot machine.
Okay.
And you get this bonus, and you get this huge fucking jackpot, and it's it's 1,000 times of your bet. You get a $5,000 jackpot.
Okay.
The likelihood of somebody playing a $100 bet and getting a $1,000 jackpot is less than that person that's playing that $5 bet.
Okay.
It's realistically, I mean, the casinos don't want to pay out that much, so they have these things turned down. So I don't think it has anything to do with the bet size. I think it has more to do with just what they're putting out there and what the universe is doing to, basically reward them for what their mentality and their energy is. Mm-hmm. So, going back to it, it's like this whole thing right here. I don't think that I have to be successful and have thousands of viewers. I'm doing it because I want to. And that want is to me at least, in my opinion, that want is more of a driving force than have to. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like when you're doing something because you genuinely enjoy it, typically it shows. It's like, you go out there and you see, for example, you go to a restaurant and you see a chef that's cooking their ass off in this small little hole in the wall in the corner, and they're cranking out the best food ever because they love cooking.
Absolutely.
Versus you go to some bullshit restaurant where the only thing they care about is making money. It shows because the food quality, I mean, it's not the food quality, the creativity
is vastly different. Exactly.
Is vastly different.
Yeah.
So it's very different when you have somebody that's actually passionate about what they're doing, and it just automatically, like, there's that automatic domino effect of like, okay, well, this person's doing what they want to do, so they're putting more effort into it, and that in and of itself brings whatever success that, however you measure success, whether it's views or money or whatever it is. Like, I think that is more, that's kind of another maybe not indicator, but a little bit more proof that it's more about your energy that you're putting out. Because let's be honest, I mean, who's ever gotten rich by just really wanting to make money? Like, it doesn't happen that way. It's because they're doing something they're passionate about, and they're like, I want to grow this company because I want to help people, or I want to, I created this awesome product that I think everybody should have. So they go out and they don't make as much profit, but the word spreads, and it explodes because there's that drive behind them to actually just spread the word and help people versus I'm a greedy fuck that just wants to make a bunch of money, clutching money in both hands, No,
it's very true.
Basically what I'm getting at, what I'm driving at for the last 20 minutes here, is that I don't think, I really don't think it pays to be A, miserable, and B, desperate. I think those are two things where you're just literally being miserable and or desperate. You're just pushing away any luck that may have come your way.
That's very true.
I think that is, and not only are you miserable yourself, but No,
but I've also realized that the more you are that way, the more things go wrong.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So,
and not to mention, it's like nobody wants to be around somebody that's like that.
Definitely
so it's you're pushing other people away as well. It's like, I genuinely feel like the people that are the most fun to be around are the people that are just happy doing anything. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, example of this. Remember my half cousin, I guess, who had come into town from Europe.
Yes.
When we took her anywhere, it was, so this is the funny thing, is anywhere we took her, right, she was just in awe, and she's like, oh my God, this is beautiful, and oh my God, that's beautiful, and oh my God, this is so cool. And the funny thing is like, I enjoyed being around that just because it was just like, it's
kind of like the first time for you two seeing these things, like it's through someone else's eyes who's never seen that.
That's one part of it. Yeah. But then the other part of it is you're like, she's just happy being here. and places that we've been 100 times before, we're like, this is not that special, but yeah, okay, cool. If you're happy, then yeah, I'm happy too. Like it rubs off on you, and it's very it's a contagious kind of like excitement and happiness that people get. But there are people that are just like that all the time.
Yeah.
There are people that are happy to be waiting in line, and I'm like, I could never be happy waiting in line. But if I'm waiting in line with somebody who's happy just being there, because it's like, oh yeah, it sucks right now, but in 15 minutes we're going to be able to go into this place and
enjoy
whatever, experience this thing, whatever it is, that starts rubbing off on you, and you're like, yeah, that's true. Like, at least we have the opportunity to stand here in line and wait for this thing, because there are some people that can't fucking stand because they have no legs.
So just remember that when we go to Disneyland together.
Oh man. Yeah, I gotta really choose to be happy for that.
You gotta choose. It's a choice.
Yeah, I know it's coming up too. It's summer though. Summer's like so busy.
Yeah.
The one thing that I've realized also is I used to like summer when I was younger.
No.
And I think it's because it was just like the time off of school and stuff.
I think that too, yeah.
I hate summer.
Hate it.
I mean, look.
Hate it.
Again, I'm going to make a conscious effort to be more positive about things. But summer just sucks. It's like there's...
So thinking of it positively.
Yeah.
Okay. You have beautiful days.
You have longer
sunny days, longer days, longer sunlight.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to go to the beach, to sit outdoors, to enjoy the weather.
Yeah.
To be around your family more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So we have those good things. But one thing I will not stay positive about are all the freaking bugs.
But you can also look at it this way.
That come with summer.
You can also look at it this way, that a lot of those bugs are helping to...
I don't care. Don't care.
Keep the circle of life going.
That's cool. Don't want it.
Well, I mean, look, here's the funny thing too. Again, this goes back to what I was saying about energy. I genuinely feel like when you don't care about the bugs leave you alone.
I mean, I think that's why my problem is, because they always tend to like...
I've worked...
The amount of mosquito bites that I get every summer, like I literally have to spray myself before I leave the house. It is terrible.
Okay, so years ago, I was doing a little bit of work. This is back when I was still doing like construction work. I was doing a little bit of work right next to this lavender bush.
Nope.
That was overrun by bees,
Nope.
Pollinating and stuff. Mm-mm. I did maybe 2 hours of work there. Literally, right. I mean, I'm kneeling down next to this bush with all these bees flying around my head. At no point did any of these bees do a damn thing to me, because I left them alone. They left me alone, and we just each minded our own business.
Yeah, I leave them alone. I don't seek them out, but they're just terrifying for me. I don't know what it is. I've always been terrified of insects.
Because they feel your fear.
I don't know. Like, why?
That's another weird thing to me, is I genuinely feel like animals can feel fear.
Maybe.
I feel like that's why dogs will bark at people who are afraid of dogs, and bark at them more aggressively, because it's kind of like they know that they've one upped that person because that person fears them. I don't know. I feel like animals do have like a different sense than we do.
Maybe, I don't know, but
it'd be cool if humans had.
I think that's mainly why I don't like summer.
Do you think humans? This is an interesting concept. Do you think that humans have senses and or like instincts that have been lost to time?
Common sense? Maybe.
That's one sense. No, but so I'm wondering,
like the fifth sense.
There's
like Karen from Mean Girls.
The sixth sense.
No, I know she says.
Oh, she's
or sixth sense. What did she say?
I don't remember what she said.
She has one of those. She can always feel when it's raining.
She has ESPN.
Yeah. Yes and no. I don't know.
So think about like people that claim to be psychic. Maybe they do have the remnants of some kind of extra sense that humans had back in the day that we've just lost because of whatever. I mean, look at, so we're seeing it right now. Like humans are losing certain senses just because of exposure to information and ease of access to information. So like not really senses, but like some amount of brain power is being lost to that. Like kids can't do math anymore without a calculator. Meanwhile, you go back 50 years and people were doing math like off the top of their head for even complex like multiplications, whatever. So I think that like the more and more life gets easy, I think the more we've lost in terms of senses.
Mm-hmm.
So what's to say that it wasn't like 5,000 years ago where people needed to hunt and not be eaten by animals? Maybe they had extra senses that kind of like better hearing or a little bit more of a almost like a
better sight or something like
better
that.
sight, or maybe like even more like of an instinctual kind of like feeling that they can feel when there's the presence of animals around or stuff like that.
How do you think it's why do you think it might not be the opposite, where we have more now than we did before?
Because I don't think we're using our brains as much as we were back then. You had to use a lot of brain power to hunt a fucking, woolly mammoth. Like you're not.
You also have to use a lot of brain power to build a building.
Yeah, but we have so many tools, and but we have so many tools now that we didn't have back then. So those tools make it obviously easier.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, building a building is not a life or death decision.
Mm-hmm.
Fighting a saber-toothed tiger out in the middle of fucking nowhere, that's going to kill you. So your brain better be on point at that.
Yeah.
At that fucking, what is that? Fight. Jeez, I can't find my words today. Another example. But you know what I mean? It's like when things are life or death, obviously your brain is going into overdrive. It's using a little bit more processing power. You're getting more shit done.
Yeah, but it, that's just all dependent on your environment. I think you use certain senses depending on your environment.
I'm just saying that just in general.
We don't really need to be afraid of a saber-toothed tiger popping out of the bushes attacking us.
But we don't now, but that's what I'm saying.
I would die. Like, there's no way. There's no way. Feast. Here I am for your entire family. Just have a reunion. Here I am. Like,
I don't think I don't know the ins and outs, but I don't think they would have been living in the cities. I'm just saying.
Just giving you an example.
But my point is I think just in general, I think people were just forced to use a lot more.
Sorry, I just imagined a woolly mammoth coming down the main street here, and I don't know why that's so funny to me.
It might be possible one day.
But that's really...
they're working on, that one company that bred the three dire wolves?
The wolves, yeah.
That they're also working on bringing back the woolly mammoth.
That's cool.
Yeah. But realistically, the woolly mammoth is not something to fear. I think it's a big elephant. It's a furry elephant, basically. Yeah. They're not even that big, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing is they're about the size. I think they're between the size of like an African elephant and an Asian elephant. There's something like that. They're not that huge. I always thought they were like these giant freaking like the monstrous big, things. Yeah,
tusks and everything.
Well, they'll still have big tusks, but they're about the size of an elephant. Like they're the size of what we know. I hope they don't
bring back like saber-toothed tigers and stuff like that, because that's a no-no.
They're working
that's scary.
On that. They're working on that one too. I don't know if they're
Where would they live? In the Arctic?
I don't know what their climate, like what kind of climate will saber-toothed tigers
Well, I mean, I saw them in Ice Age, so I'm just assuming.
But I think they actually did live kind of all over the place. I think like California did have some saber-toothed tiger skulls as well that they found. They're all over the place. It's just a cat. I mean, it's like a mountain lion. We have mountain lions down the street.
But so they're like way scarier looking. With their
they just have really
fangs.
Big teeth. Yeah. But I mean, look, I don't care what anybody says. I am going to be just as afraid of a mountain lion as I am of a saber-toothed tiger.
That's true.
To me, it's not going to make a difference if it's got the giant teeth or it's got smaller, shorter
both
teeth.
Can definitely do some damage.
I'm going to be equally as scared as from both
we have
of those.
We have mountain lions nearby. We're right down the hill, so.
But that's what I'm saying is like it's not unthinkable to think that they might one day be back out in the wild. Maybe we should stop playing with gene splicing and all this shit. I don't like it.
I feel like we're gonna have a whole Jurassic Park situation at some point.
Apparently, we can't do that.
Oh, we can't?
No.
Why?
We don't have viable dinosaur DNA.
Okay.
So there's no. I mean, they could genetically engineer a dinosaur. Basically, take a bunch of different DNA from different animals, splice it together into what would be a dinosaur.
Okay.
But we don't have the DNA to actually bring back a dinosaur that did exist.
Interesting.
We could recreate one, but we can't bring back one that actually lived
Right.
back then. So
We should maybe not.
it's like the difference between like having an original version of a car or a replica. That's basically what we're
Like a fake Louis or a real Louis.
Probably something somewhat similar.
I'm just kidding.
I was thinking, I don't know, but anyway, I would like a positive spin on something like that, but I just don't know how I could positively spin bringing back animals that are extinct, because I mean, look, there's multiple problems with this. One is these animals went extinct for a reason. They'll probably go extinct again if we leave them up to their own devices, which means that chances are that humans are probably going to just keep these things in captivity for all their lives, which then brings up the ethical question of like, why even bring these animals back if you're just going to lock them in a fucking cage and study them all day? Like, this does nothing for the animal. It's cruel. And it does nothing in terms of you're not going to repopulate the earth with this animal, because it clearly didn't survive the first time around. Probably going to be a reason that it can't survive this time around. I don't know.
We'll see what happens, I guess.
Who knows?
It's
I mean, we're just at the very beginnings of this thing, but like it's an interesting concept, but I just don't know if it.
Who knows if we'll even see that in our lifetime, honestly.
Well, I mean, they did do the dire wolves. That was
but
pretty simple. Apparently.
I wonder how long that took. Like,
I don't think that company's been around for that long. I don't think that company's been around for that long, but let's say it was a decade. I don't remember the numbers. I listened to a podcast with the guy, the CEO. But let's say it was a decade. That's not that long. Let's say it was 2 decades. But the problem is that they figured it out. So it's to figure out the next animal is not going to be as hard to do. It's not like they have to start from scratch. Now they already have.
They already have the foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, they have the playbook by what they need to do. So now they just move on to the next animal.
Right.
So it might be, who knows, a couple of years from now, we might have fucking hairy elephants walking around.
That's kind of cute.
Apparently they did, you would like this. Actually, you have your phone.
Yeah.
Look up the woolly mice.
Woolly mice?
Yeah, they used woolly mammoth genes and they spliced them into mice. And they created woolly mice.
Oh?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they're so cute.
Exactly. So yeah.
I don't like mice, but they're so cute.
But so that's.
It looks like a smaller hamster.
Basically.
Oh my goodness.
But that's the kind of shit they're doing. They're just playing with genes. And
do you think that's right though?
That's a whole ethical thing that people have been debating for 20 years now, ever since the idea of gene splicing came around. I think it has its place. But I also think that this is a slippery slope, because once you start playing with gene editing and stuff like that, then you're going to say, okay, well, I want to have a kid, but what we're going to do is we're going to take that initial, couple of, maybe you start off with a couple month old embryo, or maybe you start off with the sperm and the egg itself, and you say, I want to make sure my kid's going to be blonde, have fucking crazy muscle mass, low fat, high intelligence. He's got to be 7 feet tall. And now you're just just genetically modifying every human that's born, because rich people have the funds to do this. Or you have a country that says, hey, we need a stronger military, so we're just going to genetically engineer a bunch of 9 foot tall fucking superhumans that have skin as tough as a crocodile, and we're going to send them out there to be our military. So it brings up a bunch of crazy questions, like, where do we end up if we start doing that?
Yep.
No. Anyway.
We'll see, I guess.
Yeah. That really went off the rails. Going back to the original topic, be happy, people. Be happy with what you have.
Be happy,
Life
be kind.
Is not so hard. I think more than anything is just be kind.
Yeah.
I think that at the end of the day, like,
we definitely need it nowadays too,
People need to be nicer to each other. Look, I don't agree with what the genetically engineering people are doing, but I'm still going to be nice to them. I'm not going to go and try to tag on their building or fucking throw red paint on it, because it's like, that is what they're doing. I mean, I don't agree with it, but I don't have to.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to try to get everybody to bend to my whim and do what I want them to do. It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
And the funny thing is it seems like it's only the last decade or so where people started thinking like that. Like prior to that, people were just like,
people feel entitled. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they're so quick to judge and so quick to complain about certain things too.
But it's
isn't it exhausting though? Like,
exactly.
being that way, isn't it? Look, I'm not saying we're perfect. I'm not perfect.
Of course not.
I'm not always the nicest person, but I try to always be.
Nobody's
you know
perfect.
What I mean? But just, it doesn't take a lot of effort, you know?
Well, exactly. So yeah, nobody's perfect. It's not, I don't think anybody should expect other people to do as they believe. I don't think that you should expect somebody to vote the same way that you vote. I don't think that you should expect people to have the same feelings about
eating animals, for example. You know
exactly.
What I mean? Like,
about being vegetarian, about fucking abortions, about adoption, about religion, about any of these stuff. Like, don't assume that people are gonna automatically agree with you, and just because they don't agree with you, don't assume that they're bad people.
Exactly.
Like, people are just entitled to their opinions, and everybody can and do something different. And at the end of the day, it's people are gonna argue, well, it's bad for society. It's like, well, who are you to decide what's bad for society? Maybe you're the one that's wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, just let people do as they want. Just don't be so fucking cruel to everybody. Like,
right.
If people stopped being cruel to each other based on beliefs and stuff like that, like for example, religion is the big one.
Yeah.
Entire wars are being fought over religion. It's like, maybe just let people believe what they want to believe.
Exactly. Like, what is it to you?
We're one step closer to world peace. It's like,
absolutely.
I don't know.
Just like, let people do what they want. Let them live. Let them have their own beliefs. It's fine.
Yeah, seriously, it's not.
It doesn't affect you in any way.
Exactly, like, it's not going to affect you. It's even if you think.
How is it changing your life?
That's
it's
the
like,
thing.
It's
that's
not
the
doing
funny
anything
thing.
Like, for you.
People like to make that argument of like, well, it's not right. It's like, okay, but what does that do to you?
Exactly, and who are you to say what's right? You know, like.
Exactly.
Just live your own. Like, mind your own business, right?
I've been toying with that idea of how do I know I'm right about something? Like whatever it is, whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Where I've said, okay, well, I think that this is wrong, and I think that this is the way things should be. But then I always sit back and I'm like, but who am I to say? Like, maybe I'm the one that's wrong, and maybe they're the one that are right. You know, so people need to be a little bit more open-minded and less opinionated, I guess.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to other people's whatever, you know.
Yeah, and I'm sure all majority of millennials will know where this is coming from. But like Ashley Banks said, mind your business. That's all. Just mind your business. That is all.
I can't believe you went back there. Just mind your business. That's all.
Revolutionary woman. Let me tell you, she's right. She's right.
Maybe she was. Anyway, thanks for listening to our little rant / spiel /
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I can't even say TED Talk. All right. Thanks for watching, and catch you on the next episode.
Till next time.